I gotta address this whole dang video, or a good part of it, because it's interesting how these people act, in my opinion, and see things. It's very interesting. Let's go. Now, let's start at maybe I would say 2 minutes.
With a lot of these past me divested biatches that have a load of ish to say about how, well, I told you so. These black men just ain't shit. I told you so. Y'all look so stupid, don't you? I told you these black men is just trash. Oh, look at you. Bitch, why are you here? I have questions. Seriously. I really want to know. As a dumbass, memmified hoe, why are you here, bitch? Why do you know? How do you know? Shouldn't y'all be too occupied with Brad to know what's going on over here in the black spaces with black relationships?
Okay, so three things here. One specifically, so you're saying that black women should be focused on what Brad is doing. I have a question. I wonder, aren't you supposed to be focused on what your husband is doing? Because you're saying that if someone is not with black men or isn't interested in black men, they should not be caring about what goes on different platforms or whatever. Well, why are you so focused on black men when you're not married to any of these black men that you're talking about? You're only married to the black men that you're with, and you're not focused on your husband. You're focused on what some other random black man is doing. That is none of your business. He is not yours. He just has your skin tone. In fact, many of them don't even have your skin tone. But you somehow think that they're supposed to have some kind of, allegiance to you just because you happen to be attracted to them. Nobody owes you shit, sweetie. And secondarily, what are you talking about? Just pearly things. Anyway, if we're talking about just pearly things and that whole situation and saying that, oh, you look like a fool there, I just want to be like, well, what do you mean you're talking about black relationships? The topic and the issues brought at hand on just pearly things was not specifically on black relationships. How could it really be just on black relationships when the person who runs just pearly things is a white woman? Her relationships aren't black relationships, are they? They don't involve black women because she's not a black woman. So you are butting your head into things that doesn't have shit to do with you. Even if we were going to say specifically her, obviously that's not black relationships. It's not even involving a black woman. So why are you over there? I mean, like, if we're really talking about that, personally, to me, I do not mind following content creators who are not black women. That's just me. Most of the content creators I follow are not black women. And you can look at the people that I share their content. Most of them are not black women. Many are not black men. Many are not black at all. And yes, some of them are people who are in interracial relationships. Particularly one girl I've said plenty of times, I promote much of her content. I love much of her content as it's evolved over time. And she is a white woman in a relationship with a black man. I do not really get into that whole aspect of it. Like, I don't really talk about it in that respect, because I think that relationships are more than just, the racial component of it, or the composition of it, basically. But yeah, lady, please, you're trying to talk about basically over here that, you're supposed to be caring about what white people do, white men do. I don't think we have to just follow white men and black women because we're attracted to white men and we are black women. That's so stupid and immature. Really? The only people I can follow are people I'm sexually attracted to. I'm basically not going to watch anyone, not even white men, because I'm not attracted to all white men, for that matter. Just saying. There's more to content than actually if somebody is attractive or not. In fact, sometimes when a person is attractive, this has happened like two different content creators, especially during the pandemic, specifically were attractive men, and I did not like watching them because they're talking about economics. It is distracting if they're attractive. Just being honest. I don't want to be distracted by the fact that they're attractive. I want to pay attention to the fact that they're talking about economics and things of that nature. It's an important issue. I don't want to be distracted by eye candy. So please do not tell me that people have to follow who they're physically attracted to. For that matter, that would mean we can't follow our own we can't even follow our own, beauty gurus, for that matter. Because if we did follow beauty gurus, many a times that's our own sex, and we're not even sexually attracted to our own sex. That means we cannot even follow women now. Anyway, continue.
Shifts between black men and black women. Bitch, why are you here? That's first things first. See, we allowed y'all to get y'all shit off with the Pearly situation. We allowed y'all to have one. Like, okay, you got a point there, but at the end of the day, when it comes to black men show us lots of love. Black men will always ride for it. Black men show me lots of support. Black men, like, ooh, yeah, in these avenues right here with these raccoon ass niggas, you got one, sis. But again, let's bring it back to you now. Why the fuck are you?
What's interesting to me is this. It's so narcissistic to me because you have this mentality where you're basically saying that if black men are attracted to you, if black men prefer you, then it's all right. But if they don't, they're just raccoon ass niggers. Like, that's terrible that you guys act like people are raccoon ass niggas because they specifically do not, because they specifically are people who you thought were not supposed to be attracted to other races. That's not how it works, calling them as racial slurs because they are not attracted to black women seems pretty narcissistic. It seems pretty immature. It seems like you can't take people just not being attracted to you and being into other races just because they want to be, and they don't deserve they don't deserve to be forced into thinking that they have to be into you in order to have some kind of preference, in order to get some preference from you, or for you to get off their back because you somehow think you own them. And I've heard you say that you think you own black men, which is so sick. Anyway, continue.
Dear man. How do you know what's going on within black relationships between black men and black women? How do you know, man? Why are you so invested when you should be divested, bitch? Now, I've been getting flooded, and the cherry on the top was when I saw this shit right here. And again, no free publicity will be given.
And this is the thing to me. I think you're saying, like, how can you be interested or caring about black women and black men relationships But the topic we're talking about was not even about black men and black women. It was about the fact that you are insecure about black men giving attention to other races of women. That's what your problem was. That's what some people who are fake divestors specifically tried to act like they were saying, I guess, look, you look silly, all this stuff, because look, they don't even like you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, to me, it should be all immature to think that all black men are supposed to like you. Don't you want your black man to want you? Don't you want to focus on that? Or is he not liking you enough that you must go to black men online and care about if they like you or not? Something's wrong here with your marriage at this point. If you are focused on black men and then paying attention to other races and not paying attention to your race because you are so starving for love from black men, your black man is not enough. He's not giving enough love to you, apparently, because you are focused on other black men. You can't have enough attention from your black man. That's what it looks like from this end. And, honestly, I think, you should have your niche in YouTube and your platform on YouTube. It's a business. I understand that, and it financially is lucrative and it helps you. I don't think anything's wrong with that. But really putting so much energy and issue with different aspects of, black men having an interest in other races and feeling insecure about it, to me, is another level to this. It's not just you specifically having a YouTube channel, having a situation where you are focused on, building your brand, building your platform, and having your niche. It is actually having a situation where this is a sore spot for you. And if it's a sore spot for you, you have to wonder what's going on in your relationship that this is a sore spot for you. Anyway, continue.
But this shit right here, see, these divested ass scarred females are so upset that the authentic masculine black men did not check for them, that they are really trying to drag this whole Pearl situation. They really are.
The offensive? Who wants an offensive black man? I don't get that. But maybe, are you saying like a bad boy? Because maybe that's why you specifically are having relationship problems. Maybe you've chosen a bad boy. Maybe that bad boy was really bad for your marriage. And maybe that's what you have to go back to looking at. Your choice and the man you chose apparently may have not been suitable for you. Because, like I said, you're more interested in what other black men are doing than your own man. You're on here talking about other black men that are not your husband. Now, continue.
So they can finally say, aha, you pick me hoes, aha. I saw this shit right here, y'all. It says, silly mammies, they have always been treacherous or treasonous, whatever the fuck. Well up already. Bitch so mad she can't even proofread. Bitch so mad at black men for not giving her the proper love that she needed because maybe she did not.
One, I don't understand. Who is treasonous? Black men don't owe shit to black women, and black women don't owe shit to black men. We don't owe each other marriage. We don't owe each other relationships. We do not owe each other attraction. We don't even owe each other a look in the direction of each other. We do not owe each other shit. Black people do not owe the opposite sex any interest. Any. And it should be expected that we're not interested in our own race because the majority of people in our country are not black. So, like, when you start trying to talk about how people are treasonous, like that commenter was saying, there is no such thing as treasonous. We're not a part of a country. There is no Black American country. We come from a culture, an American culture, but that is shared with white Americans. And the majority in our culture are actually white, not Black. So there is no such thing as treason in this situation. Continue, though.
Deserve this shit, right? See, what these divested ass females refuse to acknowledge is the fact that they've never dealt with Black men to begin with. All they've ever qualified for.
That is true. I mean, like, personally for me, I've never dealt with Black men. And I've never had any interest with Black men. Now, this is not the idea that Black men or Black women who don't have interest in Black men or Black people of the opposite sex, basically, that means that we are supposed to have interest, or we did at one point. No, you're talking about rejects. Divestors are not rejects. Rejects are different types of people. They're rejects because of colorism. They're rejects because they're baby mamas. They're rejects because of whatever the problem is in their life. They're rejects, okay? That's a different thing. Rejects are the ones always complaining about Black men did this, did that, did this. A divested woman is somebody who specifically never looked at Black men. And a divested man is somebody who never looked at Black women. Because we never had any physical interest in Black men or Black women. Regardless of what we have to say about them. That is a secondary thought after watching other Black people who have been with Black men or Black women and seen how that has turned out for Black people. And then some people have some negative views on it because it's like the Black people who choose Black people don't seem like they're doing too well, you know, and then you kind of feel like you're lucky because it's like, look, you're down bad because you specifically chose Black people within your race and I'm not. So it's kind of like, you know, yeah, that's how that turns out. That's how you get a negative view on it from a second-hand perspective, not from a perspective of being interested in Black men or Black women.
Or with niggas.
What was that?
All they ever qualified for was this. Let me show y'all. Y'all give us 300. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Let me show y'all something. All they have is this. Smoky ass niggas. Not Black men.
Not personally. I mean, for me, I don't really understand. How do you expect divested Black women who can speak English to have this as accessible? If they have this accessible to them, what would you have? You can't even say a whole full sentence properly because you have to speak from a very hood, ghetto, improper English level of English, basically. Though I do notice that you are trying to do better with your English. I do notice that. I remember you actually fixed one of your sentences that you were saying on D6 channel. But yeah, I mean, like, there are plenty of divested Black women who are much more educated than you, speak much better than you, carry themselves way better than you, and are on several levels above you. That's just what it is. You are referencing, I guess, the baby mamas, the rejects, those people. I don't know anything about those people. I do see them sometimes trying to claim divestment and stuff and crying and angry at Black men and all that stuff. That's a different situation. But people who are specifically divested and not interested in Black men, many of the time, when you talk about this whole situation, you could say that when we were growing up, we did have situations, many of us, where we were raised away from people like you, specifically, because our parents, our families looked down on people like you. And so, because of that, as a result, there are less Black people that you happen to see, you know. And when you have less Black people around you, you find less Black people attractive, because if Black people aren't in your environment when you're developing your sexuality, how can you really develop an attraction to people that you don't normally see on the regular basis? You know, and so what ends up happening in these situations is that basically you don't really have any hate. You don't really know much about, black people, like what you're talking about, and your struggling lifestyle. Um, but you kind of have this situation where you were told to stay away from these kinds of people. The little interactions you have with them, they do seem very argumentative. I mean, like, I've had people like you, specifically, who get really aggressive, very angry, and feel like they're inferior to people like myself because you come from a background that is more hood, more ghetto, more trashy, basically. And when that happens, it's just like, kind of like a situation where, specifically, you can't have any kind of interaction with these type of people. You can't really talk to them as people. It wouldn't even matter if you were attracted to them or not, which you're not. But you can't even interact with the females, for example. You can't talk to you guys because you have a lot of hostility towards people who have a different background than you. Because you guys will perceive the background that people like myself have as better than yours. And so, because of that, it breeds a sense of hostility. And it becomes dangerous to be around people like you because you can turn very violent. And I've heard you talk about fighting, which is a very violent behavior and animalistic at that. And I was honestly taught people like that are very scary and concerning. But yeah, continue.
And not men that want to provide for them, protect them, lead them, teach them, pour into them. Oh, no, 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 no. They qualify for Smokey. And since Smokey did them wrong, now they want to turn their axis toward all black men based upon the smoky ass niggas that they chose and qualified for. Bitch, if you...
Yeah, I don't have any anger towards black men. I think between you and I think you have more anger towards black men because you have this mentality where you're specifically saying black men owe you attraction, owe you this, owe you that, even though they're not even your husband. And you can't even focus on your husband because apparently he's not giving you what he owes you. You have to focus on black men on YouTube, black men in other spaces that you've never even met because your black man hasn't given you what you wanted. So it does seem like you were looking for something from black men that they specifically have not been able to give you, basically. Personally, to me, I don't look to black men like that. I was raised specifically to actually look to outside of my race, honestly. Like, the expectation for me was obvious that I would prefer white men. And it's a letdown to my mother that I have some kind of attraction to Hispanic men. That's just the truth. I don't generally date Hispanic men that often. I date white men. It's just how it is. But yeah, like, that was my expectation, was specifically white American men, specifically within my cultural background, basically. So I definitely don't look to black men for anything on the regard of marriage or anything like that. That's not who I've ever dated. I've never even had a sex dream about a black man. That's just being completely honest. And I think the main reason why is because, like I said, I'm not used to looking at black men. If I'm not used to looking at black men, how can I be used to their aesthetic? How can I find their aesthetic attractive? That's how that is. With you specifically, you act like black people are some kind of country or something. And like, you are specifically trying to have a situation where you think that black men owe you something, and that's why you get that frustration from black men. That's why you get upset at black men who choose other races, and you feel contempt for them, just like those black women who are rejects. See, there are different levels to you guys. Some of you guys are rejects, and some of you guys are in situations like yours where you may have a man, you may have a husband, but he's obviously not doing right by you because, like I said, you're invested in other men outside of your own black man, which implies something isn't working out with your own marriage, right? So, specifically, some people would call that settling. Some people would say you didn't actually get what the man you wanted. And I don't know. I really don't. I don't really freaking care about who you specifically are with. I don't. I don't know why. I just don't really care. But I mean, like, I just see that you specifically have this situation where you're focused on these people, and it's like the same energy you're giving off to me. It's the same energy Cynthia G gives off, honestly. Um, but it's like all mammies give off this energy of trying to cock block and dick police black men, and tell black men who they're supposed to be with. You know, it's insane. Anyway,
Don't
continue.
get your ass on somewhere. Why are you here, Divestisha? Shouldn't you be practicing, I don't know, bed witch role play with Chad? Shouldn't you be doing shit like that? Shouldn't you be practicing how to make egg roll casserole?
So I never understand why the same assumptions of slave play or whatever, when it's kind of like you specifically say that you are dominated in certain ways by your husband. So I mean, like, when you talk about that, that's kind of weird because it's like there's a lot of black women who are not submissive like that, and there's women who are dominant. Personally, for me, like, I'm very dominant, and I would personally, for me, I just find it like kind of weird. People always associate like slave play and all that stuff with black women and white men, but it's like specifically, I've noticed for me that black men have interest in slave play. It's weird to me, like, that you talk about that because it's like you do know black men have that interest. And for me, everybody knows I make money off of the fact that black men do like slave play. Actually, I just got off of a phone call on that specifically. That was my last call. But yeah, I mean, like, we all know about how black men have that fantasy. And I mean, like, black men will pay tons of money to be degraded by other races of women or other women they perceive as other races. That's just how it is. So I kind of find it really like, how do you mean to talk about slave play with black women when it's like black women specifically don't go out of their way to pay people for slave play? And generally, from what I've seen, the instances people talk about it, they talk about it more in porn and stuff like that, which is more like a situation where people are paid to do it. So it's like black women specifically are only doing it in the case of if they're paid for it, while black men do it willingly for them to pay white women, Hispanic women, and other races of women to specifically degrade them. And I love it. Like I said, it's great. I make money off of phone calls for that, and, it's really beneficial for me because, for whatever reason, they perceived me to be another race, so I end up being able to do it. So, I mean, that's one part of it, but yeah, continue.
Why are you here? Why do you know what's going on, ma'am? See, y'all be so...
Why do you know what's going on a platform that's owned by a white person? Like, I don't get that. You're trying to say that it's got to do with black men. but nobody even who owned that channel was a black person. It was a white woman. So I think maybe you should stop having any interest either, if you're really saying that. Or maybe you're interested, maybe you're sexually attracted to white women. I don't think that's what you're trying to convey here, though. Because you're saying that we can only watch people who we're sexually attracted to, apparently. We can't watch content creators who are not our sexual preference. It's not like, I think you have the wrong idea in your head. You think that all divestors hate black men. I don't personally hate black men. Usually the people who hate black men usually hate black men off of personal experiences, especially when they start talking about what kind of husband they are or what kind of father they are and things like that. It's like, basically, they tried. They tried to have a relationship with a black man, and that didn't work out. But, like, some people will talk about black men and their violence, which I understand. There are statistics that prove that black men are very violent compared to other races of men, and I understand that is an honest grievance. But I don't personally think that all black men are violent. I just think, well, a good portion are, and there's a reason to be concerned about that, But yeah, I don't personally hate black men, so you're coming up with the wrong approach and the wrong expectation here.
I be so much in everybody else's business that you're not qualifying yourself with the men that you're supposed to be divesting to. This bitch goes on to say, those your kinds, stick beside them. Oh wow, Chad and Brad and Tom is nowhere to be found beside her. Again, bitch, why are you here? You know,
Sorry about that.
1 in 7 children does not have enough food to lead a healthy and active life.
I feel sorry for divestors. I really do. Because what a lot of them don't realize is the problem is them, right? They are the issue.
I don't get what the problem is. That's the thing. Like, why do you think it's a problem for someone not to be attracted to you? Why do you think it's a problem that black men aren't attracted to you? Why is it a problem if black women aren't attracted to black men? I don't get what's the problem here. I think if you have a personal problem with it, maybe that's a personal problem you have. But you dictating what someone is sexually attracted to is really mentally ill, honestly. You're really rattling on because someone's not attracted to black men? Doesn't that seem kind of a little mentally unstable, that you are really freaking out because someone simply is not attracted to black men? To me, that does seem very, like, you're not in the right mental space here. Because you think that everyone is supposed to be attracted to what you're attracted to. If everyone was attracted to the same thing, we would have been erased as a human race a long time ago. Just being completely honest. Variation is what has kept our species going, So, yeah, continue.
The reason why they don't get a certain type of treatment or outcome or result when it comes to black men is because, I gotta be honest, a lot of them ain't shit.
Yeah, main thing there is, for me personally, I obviously do get a lot of the positive reaction from black men. That's never been my problem personally. I think you wish this because more of the problem is with these situations is this. You have an insecurity about the fact that you're attracted to black men, right? So you feel like you are placed as inferior because you're attracted to black men, because you have a black man, because you're married to a black man. That makes you an inferior woman. And a lot of mammies struggle with this, where you guys constantly have this struggle where you feel you are inferior because you are attracted to black men, because you chose a black man, because you couldn't get a white man. That's why you have this issue, and that's why you seek to push black women who simply are not attracted to black men down in value, because you feel like somehow that they're going to be seen as more valuable than you. But nobody said that. I don't say that I'm more valuable than black women who choose black men. I am a different type of woman who chooses a different type of man that I prefer. And I don't understand why specifically people with this mindset try to perpetuate this idea that is so obvious about themselves, because it basically shows that they don't think that being black is equal. They think that being black is inferior, and that's where that mindset comes from. My thing is specifically, I would never, like I said, put black men down. I would never put black women who are into black men down. I would never put white women who are into black men down. Reason why I would never do this, because if you do that, you make black women inferior. You make black women inferior to white women. You make them inferior to white men. You make them inferior to the whole race. And therefore, you make them in a position where, specifically, you're making the white race and the black race not on the same level, right? And so you emphasize the whole idea that black women are inferior to white people, right? And then that black people in general are inferior to white people. So to me, it's just like, in these situations, it's kind of like, I understand that people like this have a situation where they often feel like they're dealing with a situation where I think they believe in that hierarchy. Some women who are divested do have that idea, and some don't. It depends. Some have that idea that white people are better than black people, and they feel that way. And you can see this in some content creators who are actually divested, I'll admit, that specifically will go after women of other races while basically pedestalizing white men. And black men, you will see the same thing in reverse, basically. What they're saying is they see themselves as inferior people, and they just kind of wish that they were white people or whatever going on there. But that is not all of divestment on either side. That's just some people. Some people are not like that. Some people, like myself, are literally just attracted to our own specific preference. And you can see that this is not specific to divestment. Because, look, divestment and people like Danica specifically have the same mindset. And when I say that, I mean specifically you have the same mindset because you are specifically saying here that you feel inferior because you are someone who is basically with a black man. Oh, shoot. Oh, there. Okay. But you are with a black man. You feel like you are inferior because of this, and now you have to try and make up for the fact that you're with a black man. So you try to seek out that the people who choose other races are inferior or rejects or whatever. That is the same mindset, see? So that's why I always point that out, that there are people on both sides. Usually the people who have an issue with interracial dating of other black people is because they feel like they cannot get a man or woman outside of their race, and they feel like they are specifically inferior to white people, and they feel like those people have more value than they do. And so then they have anger issues against people who interracially date. you can find that many times there are people who happen to prefer black people, and that's just what they're attracted to. And they don't have an issue with people who choose to date interracially, you know? And you can find this both ways, that people will have the mindset where they're just attracted to people outside of their race, and they don't actually feel that they're inferior to other races. It really doesn't make any sense to be inferior and then try to be in a relationship with someone who's superior to you. To me, I mean, like, for me, I believe in being very equal to other races, basically. I do not see myself below any other race. And so for me, it's just like, I find it really interesting when people have that kind of mentality. Anyway, continue.
Right? A lot of these females ain't shit. And so, when they don't get the desired results they're seeking from black men, it's like, oh, it's because the black men ain't shit. And it's like, no.
For me, like I said, there is no desire with black men. That's just the truth. I don't understand what is desirable. What are desired results from a black man? What is desirable about a black man? Nothing. I mean, if we're really honest, why I'm not attracted to black men is generally because I don't find their physical aesthetics desirable. And everyone knows the different aesthetics that I'm not attracted to. It can be some things that are on their bodies that are very dark and unattractive. And there are things about their face that are very unattractive to me, very feminine. You know, I tend to think that, Afrocentric features are very feminine, and therefore I don't find them very appealing. So, I mean, there is no desired result with black men for me. If you're talking about in other respects, like for black men to protect me, I guess black men to give me what I want when I want something from them, yeah, they do that. That's fine. Like, I can get things from black men. They're the easiest man to get something off of, honestly. That's just how it is. Black men are much more compliant. They're just easier, honestly. And I think that's because nobody wants black men, and especially when it comes to black men in other races, I think that they're not very highly desired. Black women try to hype them up, but usually that's black women who are more racially unambiguous. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just like they'll do anything for anyone who looks mildly ambiguous. And, so for me, it's just like, I do not have that problem. I do not have the problem of, specifically black men who won't do whatever for me. I financially, I mean, like, when it comes to different things that I do as far as my job and stuff, I mean, like, some people are black men on there. And, I don't really have any issue with them. They pay me, I get 6 figures a year. So, yeah. Anyway, continue.
All that's happening is reality is reflecting back to you what the fuck you are. Now I get it. There's gonna always be raccoon ass niggas. I know. It's gonna always be raccoon ass niggas that ain't shit, that will throw a black woman under the bus the first chance that he gets, that will sell himself out and along with his people, just for a quick view or a dollar or.
Well, maybe it's because, well, if you're really completely honest, especially with black Americans, we're not a people specifically. Like, biologically, we're not a solidary people, basically. If we were specifically a people, then we would be racially the same, or at least similar. We're not. Many of our ancestors are from completely different tribes. We have many different racial compositions. Some of us are black and white. Some of us are black, white, Native American. Some of us are black, white, Native American, and Asian. Some of us are black, white, and Asian. our racial compositions are very different. You know, we are not the same people. We do not come from the same tribes. We do not come from the same cultures. We all are now a part of the American culture. And so we are just as connected to each other as white Americans are connected to black Americans. That's just the truth. In some cases, some black Americans are further than other black Americans to white Americans because black Americans usually do have a family that is specifically white American. This is why when you do DNA matches, for example, 50% of your matches are usually going to be white and 50% are going to be black American. That's because we're that closely tied in with our American family, regardless if we're white or black. So, I mean, when you say our people, we have no people. So, some people actually operate in reality, which is we are a people, as in we are all American people, but we are not a people solidified on our race when we were only defined by our race because of slavery that was was basically, made because of the fact that white Americans at the time specifically saw black Americans all as one race. Africans as all one race. Africans is all the same because they're all dark. You do understand that at one point we even had Indians who were enslaved because they were dark. So, I mean, it really wasn't based on race, it was based on you're dark. So you belong over there with the dark people. It isn't an identity, in my opinion, that is specifically supposed to solidify on culture. It's not supposed to solidify on any of those things like background because we all come from a different people. When we take DNA tests, we get totally different results. So that lets you know that we're not the same people. We are not a people. So I don't think there's anything like, oh, where you put a black person under the bus, those are your people. I think we should treat people fairly, and that's regardless of race. There shouldn't be a difference of how you treat someone based off of their race. That is racism. So anyway, continue.
Subscription. We know that, man. But I want to make it abundantly clear again for the divestitious in the motherfucking bag that the majority of black men show me lots of love and support. The majority of black men are not on this bullshit. See, y'all are so fucking stranded in no man's land, in the bend zone. That you guys, you females, you divestitious, you get so triggered when you see solid, productive, masculine, providing, protecting, leading, teaching men supporting the very same kind of black women that you swear up and down that they don't. See, my platform.
No, sweetie, I'm subscribed to your channel. I do not have any issue with you being supported by black men. I personally, to me, I think that black women and black men who like black people is great if they find people that like them, and they find the one that's made for them. I do not have anything against people finding black love. I do not personally have any interest in providing masculine black men, especially not dark-skinned men. I don't see them as specifically masculine, you see. See, I consider her features kind of feminine. Kinda. Her features are kind of. She has a few features that are kind of not African. But for the most part, like her lips, full lips, high cheekbones. Her nose is kind of round, soft and round, kind of. Round eyes. Certain features, she has plenty of black features. And black features, to me, are very feminine features. You would agree she has feminine features, and she has black features. Black men who have black features have feminine faces. The high cheekbones are very feminine. The full lips are very feminine. The soft round nose is very feminine. The round eyes are very feminine. This is just the truth. The dark skin in itself is very feminine, and you cannot distinguish their skin tone from their body hair, which makes their features not very prominent. Their virility is not that prominent. They are very identical to their female counterparts. So I do not understand what a masculine black man looks like, because to me they all look feminine. And honestly, they all look like they could pass for women if they wanted to. So to me, when you talk about masculine, this is not a thing that occurs for me, and therefore this is why I'm not attracted to them. Now, I think that other people find black men attractive. Other people find black men masculine if they want to. And if they do, that's cool, but you're not going to find me having that concept. And because you won't find me having that concept, I'm not going to be angry if you do. That to each his own. But I'm not going to be mad that you are with a black man either, because I don't want a black man. Don't you get that? For whatever race that you're not attracted to, understand if somebody does find those people attractive, which I think maybe you don't realize that people can be attracted to white men. Well, just think of it this way. If you can understand attraction to black men, can't you think that there's tons of people who are attracted to white men? It's not just because society wants them to be that way. We're just naturally attracted to them. Understand that if we are that way naturally, then this is just who we naturally prefer, right? So maybe it's not that we are specifically angry at you. We're just pursuing what we actually want, what we actually are drawn into. Continue.
Alone triggers you guys. It really does. Y'all come over here and y'all see black men donating. Y'all see black men over here offering words of encouragement, support. Y'all see black men over here showing up and showing out. Y'all see that shit. And it triggers you because it's like, well, damn, why the fuck don't I get that?
For me, personally, I actually do. And that's the thing with me. It's kind of like with black men. They're always preferable or nice to me. It's just that I don't want them physically, But like I said, when it comes to their behavior, this is why I guess I don't hate black men, because they've never really done me wrong. And I do notice that some darker skinned black women will say that specifically that other races of men are nicer to them than black men. So it is what it is. Personally to me, it's just I don't really care usually if they're nice to me, because I don't really want them, Anyway, continue.
Why aren't I getting the same type of treatment that this bitch is getting? And then the first chance you divestitious got to say, aha, I know it. You rolled that shit.
No, it's not quite like that. I think there were a lot of people who were mammies. See, maybe you don't realize who the mammies are and who the divested are. That's what I'm getting the feel here, is that you're not able to understand who's divested and who's actually a rejected mammy. Most of the time, we don't care that black men may choose other races than you, because they're in the same boat as us. One, we understand that we aren't dotards, we aren't stupid. We understand that they're attracted to other races than themselves, their own race. And we happen to be on the same boat. How can we be angry at someone for doing the same thing that we're doing? That is insanity in itself. The only people who get mad at that are the people who specifically are not doing it because they want to. Basically, they're not interested in other races because they want to be attracted to those races. They are interested because they feel there are no other choices for them. And they feel like they are rejected. So that's why they go with other races, basically. That is different from divestment. Divestment is natural interest in other races. And there are black men and black women who are not rejected by their race, who are just naturally not attracted to their own race. And that's just the way it is. It's not like anyone tried to do that to black people. We didn't just try to do it out of malice. Like I said, a lot of rejects will do it out of malice because they're angry at the opposite sex of their race. But a lot of people who aren't of that mentality, they're not angry. They just don't care about them like that. Like, it's not like I care in a good way or a bad way. It's just kind of like, well, for me, I'm just not physically attracted to you. So it would be wrong to lead a black man on when I have no physical attraction to him. It's just the same if I was a lesbian. If I was a lesbian, wouldn't it be wrong for me to lead on a straight black man because I just wanted to make a black couple or whatever, even though I'm not attracted to black men? It's the same thing here. I am not attracted to black men, so it's wrong for me to lead on black men just the same. Continue.
Like a motherfucking wave. Y'all could not wait. See, fellas, here's the problem, fellas. These divested bitches, they are so upset at you guys for proving them wrong. Let me explain how. Thank you, Dem I. I mean, that is thank you. Let me explain to you why and how. By you guys being over here on my platform, again, showing so much love and support, whether it be by your words, by your numbers, by your donations, whatever the case may be, your protection even. Again, yeah, they wanna really highlight the raccoon because that is their chance to have their aha moment. But let's be clear, they see what's really good. They see a lot of love being over here more than hate. And again, you guys proved them wrong. Now let me explain how. Black men, especially over my platform, have always been vocal about the fact that, hey, I would love to be with a black woman, not a pasty chick. And we got a lot of new subscribers, so you guys probably don't know what a pasty chick is. Well, a pasty chick is a term that I coined over here on Found Nation. And it is essentially a female that gets passed up by quality men because they don't qualify. Pasty chicks are the females that get passed around by the smokies, the no good ass niggas. And the pasty chicks are also those females that get surpassed in life by quality women. Okay? So, black men have been very vocal, saying things such as, look, I would love to be with a black woman. I desire to share my life, share my love with a black woman. That is my first choice. However, I'm not just going to give my love freely, give my support freely, give my protection freely to black females, again, we make a distinction, that do not honor me, that do not respect me, that...
Well, one, that's obviously not true. The reason why that's not true is specifically because we see some people do not have to respect black men. And I know you probably don't know this because there's some black women who think that they have to do all they can for a black man so then they can get something out of it, right? I personally do not have that mentality. I do not have a mentality where I hate them. But I do not have a mentality where I like have a situation where I like them in a sexual way or anything like that. I do. I guess you could say I wish the best for them. Yes, I do. I wish the best for them because, I mean, it's a bad image to have black people not doing well. So it kind of makes sense that you would want your own racial background not to be seen in the poorest light. You know, it would be nice if the statistics could be better than what they are. You know, coddling them is definitely not going to do that, though, but that's a different story. I'm not even going to get into that. My thing is with this whole situation, and I'm going to finish it up, but I kind of feel like you specifically have this situation where you think that black men are only acceptable and only okay if they have a good enough explanation to you why they don't want to date black women. And they don't owe you an explanation. They don't owe you any answer, reason. They can just prefer white women, Hispanic women, Asian women, you name it. They have every right to like what they like. And you don't have any say in it. You have no right in it. You have no business in it. It is none of your gosh dang business. It is not. Because you are just a random black woman who specifically is not tied to them, is not connected to them. You are not their wife, girlfriend, or anyone who you are in an intimate relationship with them on. You don't own black men. You are just a black woman who deserves to basically have your personal preference, but you cannot invoke that preference on other people. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Have a great day. Bye, guys.